Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. I'm sure everyone is still buzzing from yesterday. There have been some obvious heroes for the Arsenal this season, but on this edition of Monday Madness, I'd like to dig a little deeper to see who's working in the shadows. Squaddies, it's a new week, it's a blank canvas. Let's rock and roll.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
As always, be sure to listen to our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and to those listening on our audio platforms, including Apple and Spotify, welcome to Squad Central. Be sure to hit your alert buttons too, so you don't miss a show. Some great guests coming up, and what a weekend it was for the Arsenal. And our special guest today is running a little bit late. Hi, everyone. At ease, Squaddies. At ease. Welcome to each and every one of you. How you doing this fine Monday? Good evening to Mohammed. Good evening, Miss Melina. Good to see you in the house. We got Peter here. Ian is here. Kirsty's here. The whole fam jam is here. Carol's here. 3 trains, I think, Carol took yesterday to watch the Arsenal play in the North London derby. God bless her. That's dedication there for you. Be with you guys in a few, I said about 8 minutes ago. But Lee will be he'll be here shortly. Every time I see Simon's name here, it looks like Simeon, and I feel like Harry's here, but it's not. Welcome as well. Hello, Michael. Trossard's gone from being a very good player to an absolute beast. He's in the form of his life. We're going to get stuck into that. Trev, good evening to you. How many of you spent most of yesterday and today just basking in social media? Oh, look who's in the house. Newman's here as well. Wonder why. Sophie, he was late for AFT. Listen, he's late for everything. The dude he'll be late. I know it's the cliche saying he'll be late for his own funeral. He is late for everything, all the time. Did they win? Is it a final score? Everton won. Wow. Played with 10 men. And also, what a bizarre situation that was. 10 men, but they had a fight with each other and one of their players got sent off. That was unreal. I didn't watch the whole game, if I'm being honest. It seemed like a total snooze fest. I'll tell you who isn't a snooze fest is this fella.
How you doing, Safe? You all right? Sorry about that.
I'm all right, Gianni. Have you just been playing football?
No, I've got picked up an ankle injury yesterday playing football. So I was meant to go Baller League today, but I didn't go because it's playing up and it was my mate's son's birthday. So I just popped round here for an hour or so, but just got back. I've just seen Man United lost at home, like they had 10 men. Can you believe that?
They did, and 10 men. And by the way, 10 men and Everton got in a fight on their own.
I see that. I didn't. I've not seen it yet, but I've heard that it was a bit harsh. But you know what I mean, unbelievable, wasn't it? Like, you know, I think Man United could have gone up. Someone said they could have gone up to 4th today or something.
Yeah,
like that.
They could have. And now Everton are above Liverpool.
Are they really? Well done, Everton.
Well done, Everton.
That's incredible.
Brilliant stuff. Very good. Very good. Excuse me, breaking news. I do not have the soundbite for breaking news, but ankle injury. What's going on?
Oh no, I bet it was a Spurs fan yesterday, as well.
Are you all right? Not serious though.
It's just bruised. It's just bruised. You know, it's one of those ones when you do and you just. I had to come off in the end. I try to run it off, but at my old age, I don't think I can run off things now, So, and do you know what? It's the worst thing. when I play on play and then you've got to go to the game straight afterwards. That's twice now I've done that this season. Don't happen very often, but when it does, and you're aching and all that, and I've had to go with a little bit of an ankle injury yesterday, but that wore off. I didn't think of that towards the end. The ankle started playing up as soon as I got home today,
And when it wears off, Lee, it is
not
pleasant, is it?
It's not pleasant, it's not pleasant, So yeah.
Ian, you're funny. You guys are funny. One of your favourites is here. Lee's back at Squad Central, and you know what? Bit heroic trying to play with that injury, and it's funny because I was thinking today, what do I talk to Lee about? I'm going to get your take on yesterday, of course. Squaddy, can't wait to hear about that. You were there soaking up the beautiful atmosphere of the North London derby. Then I thought to myself, look, everyone's been waxing lyrical about Eza. We're going to talk about that, of course. But there's another subject matter I want to get stuck in with you.
Lovely. Well, for that bad ankle or not.
And we'll get to it. But Lee, you were there yesterday. And a little bit, I was saying yesterday on the post-game show here, when Eubank came out with 50 Cent, it was kind of like, you better win that fight if you're coming out like with that type of intro and stuff. And it all started with the Tifo, Sol Campbell at the tippy top, like the angel on the Christmas tree, the fireworks, all of it. And my goodness, it did not disappoint. Give us your perspective of the day. I know that if there's a team that Lee Judges loves to beat, it is the Tottenham Hotspurs.
Listen, that is the main thing. It's but I'm going to say this now: if Carling done Sundays, they didn't do it better than yesterday. And I took first and foremost, and I stayed. I got back from football, ice in my ankle, and I watched the second half of the Steel derby, Sheffield United at Sheffield Wednesday, and our boy Tyrese banging in a couple of goals. I went absolutely mad when he got that second goal, So that sets you off to a good start for the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was
real quick before you carry on, Lee. Do you know what? Every time you and I do a show together, Tyrese scores.
Well, no, we should do more than
We should.
Yeah, I'll message him. I'll tell you what. I'm revealing a few things here. Like message him. As I always do, and if he scores and done well, I always message him, and he always messaged back. Well, he did message back. It was about 1:30 in the morning, so I think he was enjoying his day, you know what I mean? So,
he did. I sent him pictures of. I was such a, I took pictures off the telly when he was being given his Man of the Match award, and I sent them to him, and he deserves it. It's been a tough season so far over there at Sheffield United.
It's been incredibly bad, you know what I mean? Like, as you know, we do follow them, don't we? And like the playoffs last season, they was the best team. How they lost that game, I don't know. He scores in that game as well, but as I said to him, he's got the freedom of half of Sheffield now, and I want to go out on a night out when he does, you know what I mean? Because you're not going to buy a drink. You're going to, it's just incredible, so, and they've took to it. I'll tell you what, the greatest thing for me, and I was singing it, on the way to the game yesterday. Of course, we do it with Trossard, but Campbell, again, ole, was fantastic to hear, you know what I mean? So, and I know that his dad would be smiling and being very, very proud of what he's doing at the moment. And that makes me emotionally with him as well, do you know what I mean? So,
100%.
Well done to him, you know what I mean? So that was the first bit of the day, and I gets there, and I don't care what anybody says, so, yes, it's Tottenham Hotspur. Yes, I'm nervous. Those words always happen for me because I go back to 1991 and me and Kevin have had rows over this, you know what I mean? I was so confident that Arsenal would beat Spurs that day and it just didn't happen. And we was far better team than them, by the way. And it was just one of those things that didn't happen. Kevin hit the bars, if you remember, from 5-6 yards, you know what I mean? And if that goes in, we go and win the game. So I've always been, from that day on, I've been it's always put me focus and don't take the mickey, don't take it for granted. So I've always had that from that day on. Learned the lesson that day. But what I was worried about, I do not know. Like, you know what I mean? It was sensational. The whole thing about it. I've got to say that the what do they call it?
The tifo.
Tifo, like,
I'll put it right there for you. There you go,
It was sensational. You know what I mean? Like, credit to everybody that was involved with that, like, and credit to Arsenal for taking the fans and listening to them on. But I thought it was wonderful, like, you know what I mean? And it was really impressive, and the fireworks and all that, like, was fantastic. But then I have to say, the fans played their part and turned up, like, and I know you don't need, you know, how can I say this without being horrible? I'm more up for that game than, say, Crystal Palace at home. And I get, you know what I mean? The atmosphere is always going to be electric when you play Spurs. You want it to be like that every game, but human nature doesn't allow you to be like that. But everybody was up for that game. Everybody was in their seat before the game. There was no one in the bars or whatever. Everybody was in there, like, you know what I mean? And it was electric. The atmosphere was electric. It was like, you know, we're showing you might have a new snazzy new ground and all that, like, but we've built this over the years, and the atmosphere. So I can't speak highly enough of the Arsenal fans. They got up for it, and then, my God, the team put in a performance. They just blew them away. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if people say this is not the best Spurs team. It's not we have not done that to a Spurs team for a very, very long while. Where I've got Spurs mates, you're far better than us. We've got no comeback. We've got no this. We've got no that. We absolutely annihilated them from the word go to the end. If I'll be honest, it could have been 7 or 8. I even think that maybe we just took our foot off the gas a little bit because we got a big game on Wednesday. I don't know, like, you know, one mistake cost us the game, but performances from some of those players, Soph, was incredible. I don't know where you want to start off with. All
right, let's start off with because I want to focus on, like, the obvious heroes, because the reason why I wanted to chat with you today is to get stuck into a little bit about the unsung heroes and the Arsenal players that work in the shadows, because I know you got a lot to say about this, and you watch the team week in, week out, whether it's in the Premier League, in Europe, you're at every single game, and there's a story brewing for me, and we'll get to that. But why don't we start with, I agree with you, like, every Tottenham fan, there's been no banter from them this time. Or you got lucky, or you had the ref, or this. They are absolutely saying that it is the worst Tottenham team they've seen perform in the North London derby for a very long time. But you can only play who's in front of you, like you say, Lee. So the team selection, I felt like Mikel got it right from the get-go. And I was happy for Nketiah to come in being a left-footed player alongside Saliba. Why don't we start with you know, the selection that he made and what you felt about that?
Well, listen, I'm going to be really honest. I went with Mosquera as my central defender because of what he's done in the past, and I hadn't really seen a lot of Nketiah, really. If I'll be honest, I didn't know what I was going to see. I've seen glimpses of him, you know, played left back. It's sensational. He never put a foot wrong. Won every header, won every tackle. He looks like an unbelievable player. And the biggest compliment I can give him is I don't think anybody turned around yesterday and said, well, we missed Gabriel. Mm-hmm. I think it's the biggest compliment you can give any player that comes into a team. Well, we never missed him, or we never missed him. And I'd give that same sentence to Merino as well. But I thought he was brilliant. And listen, the Mikel got it spot on. You know, he could have gone a little bit safety first by bringing in Mosquera, because he's done very, very well, but he didn't. He went with the balance of it, and it was the right thing to do. And, you know, there's question marks about Calafiori, you know what I mean, if he was going to be fit as well, like, you know, but put him in there. I thought the back four were unbelievable, you know what I mean. They didn't give him a sniff. You know what I mean? The time that we did, it was really from our midfield player, Zubimendi. But, you know, if they wanted to put it about, they done it there.
They didn't do anything, Lee. They didn't do anything.
They didn't lay a glove on us. Like, there was one time there was a little bit of an argy-bargy in the first half, and then Kepi, you know, that what's his name, Romero gets in fact, but Kepi just had a little word in his shell, like, and he ran away. I thought, oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. And it got, you know, even better later on with Declan Rice, who just gone up another notch. But we'll talk about that. But I think Nketiah was absolutely outstanding on the day. He was, what a debut. You know, I know like it's not a debut, but like Premier League debut and a central defence in a game like that. I thought he was brilliant, you know. So big up to him, big up to Mikel because he got it spot on. And people were questioning Calafiori, by the way, and about his performances. But I just think we all love, don't we? We all love Miles Lewis-Skelly. We all want him to be in the team. But my God, this guy has been immense. He was immense again yesterday. And they never got nothing from the left-hand side. They got nothing from the right. You know, and it's great to see. Great to see.
You're literally kind of tapping into the unsung hero part. So let's just talk about it all as we talk about the Tottenham game, really, right? So the Calafiori, you're right. I've had a pop at him here and there in terms of his defensive duties and how he kind of is a little bit of you know, he's a hot mess, but he's got organized chaos, and you need that in a side. And I feel like the balance in this team is really interesting right now, Lee, because like yesterday, it's obvious Eza was the man of the match. He was the hero. I mean, I don't know how old you were, and I know it's a player you saw play. Alan Sunderland is the last Arsenal player to score a hat-trick in a North London derby. And Saka, you know, these players, Declan Rice, you know, Big Gabby, Saliba, Bukayo, they're the obvious heroes. Yeah. They've been the guys, right? And now you can add, Eza had his seminal moment, his kind of welcome, I'm a cult hero, instant hero at the Arsenal. You score a hat-trick in a North London derby, you've more than arrived. And then you've got this other balance. But talk to me a little bit about in the flesh, seeing what Eza does, because he can dip in and out of the game, but he has big moments, and you need players like that. This is an insane balance this team has right now, Lee.
Clutch moments, you know what I mean? Like I went to the Baller League last week. Chloe Kelly's team's called Clutch, and it's so appropriate because she has clutch moments for England and for Arsenal. He's the same sort of player. I think if you're going to be really honest about it, first 20 minutes, I weren't that impressed with him. I thought he was not in the game, you know what I mean, the way that I would want him to be. He's not like an Odegaard that gets on the ball and does all that, but he's trying to find space and things like that. But when it mattered and when it needed to be, he done it. Like, and it was sort of fun enough. I've been around talking to my mate Mark about it. Like, you know, first 20 minutes, he was quiet and all ever, but it was his lovely little dink for Declan Rice in the first minute. Arsenal could have been 1-0 up. And what he's doing, Eze, is he's, with these low blocks and all that, like, I think you have to be a little bit patient as a fan and watching it and all that, like, because he will get into moments. And when he does, he delivers, you know, whether it be a pass or a goal. And the strike for the first goal was fantastic. And then, listen, everybody will be turning around. And so if you said to me, do you think Eze's going to score? I've got no argument. I would have said, yeah, I think like it was sort of written in the stars that he was going to score in that game. But to get 3 is just over. If you actually went to the cinema and watched the film, and that was the film, the Eze story, you'd be walking out of the cinema at the end of the saying, it was a good film, but it was a little bit far-fetched, him getting an hat-trick. It was just a little bit too far-fetched. But that is what happened. That was the reality of it. And he could have had more than that, Sophie. The goalkeeper made
he should have had a fall for sure.
Vicario made a very, very good save against him, like, you know. And you know, he was lethal. He was absolutely lethal when he had his the second goal. Unbelievable finish, and then like to what he done with I don't know, it was sliding through like it was a bit of like a Jesus moment, and he just smashed it in. It was fantastic, like, you know. And as you say, the first hat trick. And listen, you can go on about a lot of players, you know, unbelievable players we can talk about, like Robert Perez, Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Charlie Nicholas, you know, like Freddie Lumber, all of these guys, you know, Aubameyang scored loads and loads of goals for Arsenal and against Tottenham. They've not done it, not got an hat-trick. He's gone and done it in the first game.
It's really unreal.
It's unreal. And he could have, as you say, could have had more. And listen, at the end of it, we've absolutely rubbed it in against them. And I was talking to a Spurs fan today. I won't name her, but you know, like Eze, from their point of view, has turned them down. You think, right, the one person I'm not going to let have their moment is him.
Mm-hmm.
I let him have 3. You know what I mean? So what does that tell you about them? You know, and listen,
you know what, it just added to the narrative. I've put in this picture up for those listening on audio. It's Thomas Frank behind holding a Tottenham shirt with Eze's name on the back, and it's Eze and Mikel laughing at the front with his number 10 shirt. And I mean, the fact that they saw that must have hurt more than any. You know what? I think that's probably the London derby, for the North London derby, that hurt the most for them since losing the league at White Hart Lane. Because when you watched that and you knew you were minutes away from having that talent in your team, and then when you look at their lack of a number 10, Lee, like that has to be the biggest stinger of a North London derby since we won the league at White Hart Lane. I won't say White Hart Lane. It was, I mean, the silence is deafening from their end. Says it all.
Listen, the silence is great. The trouble with Tottenham fans, right, is that they always come out of their wherever they're hiding and try and give it in this game, like, you know what I mean? And they do. But I've been on, you know, there's a couple of Spurs things and all that, like, I'm talking to some Spurs for bite your hand off for a point. That tells me they know you're going to get beaten. You know what I mean? Like, if you bite you off for what are they saying? Like, you know, they haven't got that much hope. But there was the hope that they could do what they've done to other teams in the past and frustrate us and get a result and all that, like, you know. But a few of them have turned around and said, oh, this is the time that you could actually give us a good hiding. And I'm going to be really honest. I think a lot of those Spurs fans would have walked out that ground whatever time they did, because they were sort of going out in droves at different times. They would have all basically said, we've done all right to get away with a 4-1 win. I honestly think that it could have been a lot more so. I think at the end of the day, you know, do you remember we lost to them 3-0 that time and all that? And thought,
yeah.
I remember that, and I still remember that day. We got pumped.
The game without Saliba, the one towards the end of the season.
That was hurtful. You know, they done us, and it could have been more that day. And, and at the end of the day, walked out, and I remember saying, like, you know, listen, we've got to take this on the chin. It could have been a lot more. They would do it. They would be saying the same. I think at the end of the day, if we'd have beaten them 7-1, I don't think even the Spurs fans would have argued about that. We was so much dominant against them. The first half, the highlight of their game was a throw. That was the highlight of their game. That's all they had. It was just like, you know, eventually you knew what was going to break down. As soon as we scored, Safe, and I didn't do it, the fans started singing Tottenham get battered wherever they go. I would never do that at 1-0. But my mate turned around to me and said, that's it, we've won this. You know what I mean? Like, done now. Once we got the goal, they're done. And I'm not quite as positive as that. Like, when it went 2-0, Tottenham get battered, I'm singing it because I knew we'd done it then, like, you know. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans felt that, and probably Tottenham fans did as well. As soon as we scored, that you knew that what was coming. And I'll tell you what, if that half was another 5 minutes older, so if we didn't have got that goal, say 5 minutes before that, I think we could have been racking up 3 or 4. at half time because they had no answer for what we were doing. They changed it around a little bit, but I honestly think we could have gone on and really trounced them. But listen, I'm happy with a 4-1. Don't get me wrong, and that you know that you've done it with Spurs when I've had none of them.
No,
not one of them. Like
my cousins. I haven't heard from my cousins. Although I did, the Squaddies love this. I'll play it for Lee because I think he may have seen it. But I did send this to them last night, Lee. Never gets old. Never gets old. So look, it's so good, isn't it? So much.
Send me that. I'm going to put that on our story.
I'll WhatsApp it to you for sure.
I love it. Love it.
So Lee, here's what I want to get stuck in because I thought Bukayo was excellent again yesterday. I thought Declan was brilliant again yesterday. But one of the things that we've been missing in order to maybe be going for our third Premier League title this season is the squad depth and the characters and the team having a variety of different attributes to match the good Manchester City teams and the good Liverpool teams, right? And there's no doubt a lot of people will say to us, if we do end up winning, oh, you won it in the year Liverpool was shit and Man City was shit. Well, Liverpool won it in the year everyone else was shit, but they still get credit for last season. So I wanted to tap into, it's obvious that, Saliba, Big Gabby, Declan Rice, Bukayo, those players have been at the heartbeat and at the backbone of this team. But I wanted to get your take on the unsung heroes. And actually now some players who, like, if, God pray they stay fit too, are fundamentally the cornerstone to what is working and what is good at Arsenal. And I wanted you to pick a few, and because I have a few, but I think in this team, Mikel's built this kind of backbone where there's the explosive player, there's the shadow, the player that works in the shadows. I don't think I've seen as strong an Arsenal team, even in the last 2-3 seasons we've been challengingly, as I have right now. And so I'd like you to share with me, if there's one player to start off with that jumps out for you as your unsung hero, who would that be?
Well, there's two, but the one for me I'm going to go for, and he was bought to play in midfield, but he's just stepped up when we really needed it. And for me, that is Mikel Merino. No, I don't really see what I see of him in midfield. I thought he was okay, nothing special. But since the beginning of last January, when he was asked to go in midfield and do what he's doing.
Up front, you mean, when he was asked to play the number 9?
Yeah, I don't know if we win that game as well if he doesn't play in that position. If Gyökeres plays, and that's a big statement to say, but I don't think Gyökeres does what he does for the first goal for Trossard. The drops in deep, turns, and then picks out an amazing pass. His work rate. What I like about him is that he does it for the team. He's so unselfish in everything that he does. He runs for other players. He works hard. He's prepared to put in that position. Now, my mate said this yesterday, and it's a great point. Let's put it into other people's perspective. We've got your 3 front players out, all injured. Like, so say if it's Manchester City, Tottenham, Liverpool, or whatever, right? It's like asking Paulinho to play up front, Gravenberg to play up front, Rodri to play up front, right? I don't think none of these players would be able to do it. I don't, Casido having to go up front, you know what I mean? But that's what the option that we had, because we had no option left. I find it incredible that he's done what he's done. It's not easy to play centre forward. It's not easy.
But also, Lee, yesterday, and you were there, I wanted to get your take on this. Like yesterday, was he playing a false 9 because it felt to me like Trossard and Eze had a bit of freedom, to move about the country, and Merino was spreading passes. I mean, like the pass for the goal was absolutely beautiful, and I'm so happy that you picked him. I've got pictures ready for anyone, but I think he is such an important player to this team. He's like the satellite dish. He's like the hybrid, right? And I agree with you that what other midfielder in the Premier League could do what he's been doing up front? But I wanted to ask you in particular about yesterday, because it felt like he wasn't playing the out and out traditional 9.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. And a few people said in the chat, yeah, Gyökeres might have scored, and he might have done. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have scored a couple of goals yesterday, Gyökeres. And if you was to turn around and say, right, what is someone? I think someone said, what we don't know. Merino's best position. His best position is where he plays now. I think you put him in midfield. I don't think you get what you get when he plays in this position here as a false 9. And what he does is the two central defenders, can't follow him, because if they're sort of rigid to what they do. So he drops into this area, picks up space. That allows him to turn and get the ball into try. We've got so many good options then going forward. He's played 2 games up front since Gyökeres has got injured. So Sunderland and against Spurs. Of course, he come off against Burnley. If you come on, I think he come second half against Burnley. But forget about that one. We was 2-0 up when that happened.
Sunderland was tough. They were physical. Like that was a
tough. But we scored 2 goals from that game from open play. We scored 4 from open play now. So is it any coincidence because we've got him playing in there that we've sort of be a little bit more, I don't know, difficult to pick up? I don't know. But I thought his role yesterday, sometimes he was cropping up on the right wing. I'm going, what are you doing there and everything like that. I don't like that. But that's what he does. He scored 2 against in Prague. You know what I mean? Like, I think that
scoring for Spain as well at will.
I don't know what his best position is. I don't know if we was mucking about with him in when we was in Singapore and that he scored a goal with Singapore and we was going, you're a striker now, like and listen, he's a lovely, lovely person as well, always smiling, very happy. And I've just listen. He's never going to go down as a favourite player of Arsenal, right? And I get that, and all the reasons you can put out there, and one of it, what is he doing and all that, like blah blah blah. But since January of last year, when he was asked to go up front to now, I think he's been fantastic for us. I really do. Finishing wise, I think he's one of the better finishers in the team. But yesterday. Listen, when you win against Spurs and you play against Spurs and you're one of the key components in that win, you're always going to be loved by the fans. You know what I mean? Like for me now, Eze's got a pass for I don't know how long. And Merino's got one as well, because I think that his work rate and all that is in there. And listen, I get that when fans turn around and you say, that's a give me work rate. It's a give me, and it is a give me, but it's not necessarily true. So, and there's a lot of players out there that will work for the benefit of them. So, this is a guy that puts his body on the line for the benefit of the team, and for that, I've got so much admiration for him, because do you know what? As good as he done on Sunday, as good as he may do on Wednesday, if he starts on Wednesday, when Gyökeres is fit or Havertz is fit, he'll probably be left out, and he gets on with it again. That's a fantastic mentality as well to have, you know what I mean? Like that, he knows what his place and everything like that,
We were, you know what, Lee? We were actually talking on the show the other day about, does Odegaard get right back into the team? Does Havertz get right back into the team? Should Gyökeres, get right back into the team? This is a beautiful conversation, because we've not been in this spot for quite some time, and Mikel definitely has favourites. Every manager does. That's just football. But also Mikel's smart. And I think this season he's learning a lot of lessons. You play your hot hand, i.e. Trossard. You know, you're not going to, if your number 3 is winning at the roulette table, you're not going to start playing number 4, you know, on your next spins. You'll keep gambling until you don't win a spin. But do you think they should, and we'll come back to the unsung hero and your other players as well, but do you think they should just come back into the side?
Listen, football don't work like that, Soph.
I know. Kevin always used to say that.
Unfortunately, it don't. You know, you look at Liverpool at the moment, like, you know, Isak's playing not because of his ability and he's the best player on form and that. He's on there because of the financial side of it and everything like that, and that causes problems and whatever. And in professional football, the higher you go up, I don't think that works so much. You know what I mean? Like when they say you own the shirt, I think that there's players in the team that know they're going to be playing, and there's players know that they're going to be squad players, and they know what their role is in the terms of that team, and how they get away with it, because that's the way it is financially and whatever. Like, you know, they're there. I would suspect that if Merino scores 2 against Bayern Munich, say, Chelsea game comes ahead. Listen, Gyökeres might not be 100% fit, but when Gyökeres is 100% fit, he'll walk back in the team. How many times? I'll tell you what, there's a great example of that going back in 98. And my brain's not as great as it. Malinga was in goal. Seaman got injured and Malinga come in. Do you remember Alex Malinga come in? He was sensational.
But come on, Seaman and Malinga.
Well, what I'm saying, but he was sensational. But when Seaman was fit, back come David Seaman. Doesn't matter how well he done. My point being that that happens in football. That's what it is. If you know, like Messi, if he's injured, you know, it doesn't matter whatever that player's going to do. As soon as Messi's fit, he's going to come back in. It's part and parcel of football. You know what I mean? It would have been very interesting, Soph, if Madueke hadn't got injured. What would have happened? You know what I mean? With Saka come straight back in. So sometimes that decision's taken away from you. But when it comes down to it, and you know, it is what Saliba. Let's go back to Saliba. Mascara was outstanding up to the games, but when it comes to that Man City game, Saliba come back in. So I hear what you're saying and all that, like, but when I think everybody's fit and we've got a massive game, I do think the likes of Gyökeres, Odegaard, Gabriel, as when Gabriel comes back and is fit, he'll play.
And it would be hard to argue with that, really.
It's very hard to argue. It's also very, very hard to, you know, when you've played for 6 or 7 games and been outstanding. How do you get then into the team and stay in the team? You know what I mean? Like, one, you have to have a little bit of luck, and you know, like, other players can be moved around a little bit. Listen, I think it's fascinating to see what's going to happen. How you're going to get your captain back into this team, but he's going to have to find a way. Is it a problem? Yeah, it's a problem, but it's a nice problem to have. So
it is, because they both offer different things. Like, you know, on his day, Odegaard can control the tempo of a game, be the conductor from start to finish. What Eze offers is that explosiveness, those clutch moments you talked about, and also the way he gets the ball from under his feet so quickly, the way he just takes a shot, like 3.2 seconds, he's already taken a shot. Like, they both offer something different, which I guess, again, Lee, you know, when you're planning against certain opposition or you need a game changer, either one coming off the bench in a game, I mean, that's just not where we've been as a squad. If
you talk to any manager, right, and I had it when I done it as well. Like, you can, as a word, lie about certain things to a certain degree. For instance, you can say, we've got Bayern Munich on Wednesday. I'm resting you for this game, but you'll play against Bayern Munich, or I'm not playing you against Bayern Munich because I'm playing you against Chelsea, or we're playing Brentford. That's a massive game. Blah 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 blah. When it really, the tough decision is you've got a cup final, like, you know, you can't say that.
Mhm.
Like, oh, we've got a cup final day. I'm not playing you in the cup final, but I'm resting you for the cup final to play like Bournemouth away on Saturday. Like, that you ain't gonna. Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm not so convinced about this. So it's that's when it really happens. So at this moment in time, Mikel can shuffle it around a little bit. There's no reason to say, I wouldn't say at the moment, but after the Chelsea game, we've got Brentford on the Wednesday. That's a way to bring in Odegaard. That's a way to bring back in your careers and just, you know what I mean? So there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
But I will say this about Odegaard. I hasn't contributed for us that much this season. But I tell you something now. If Arsenal win the league, what's the one game you'll go back to and say, that was the turning, that was the game that changed our season. That was the game. And that game was Newcastle away.
Yeah.
And we're 1-0 down. Who comes on with 10, 15 minutes to go and completely change that game?
The
Martin
captain.
Odegaard, the captain. So don't forget him. Don't forget the players
Brilliant
that have
point.
got you there, like, you know.
Brilliant point. Totally.
So there you go. So for me, I think that they're all got a role to play in this football team at this moment.
Okay, so let's get your next unsung hero.
Unsung hero. Well, whether you think he's an unsung hero or not, I think a lot of Arsenal fans, and I'm going to hold my hands up with that, and saying, like, if we can sell him and get somebody else, he's 30 years of age, don't really need, why we give him a new contract, whatever and whatever. Like, yeah, I'm going to sell him. I want to play if I'm playing my best team, Martinelli or Eze going out to the left, but I don't think I don't think you can drop him at this moment in time, and I wouldn't want to drop him at this time, and that's Trossard. I thought he was sensational yesterday.
So good. He was so bloody good. I'm glad you mentioned Trossard, right? Because it was a pay rise he got. Didn't even get a new contract, Lee, right? But
it was a pay rise, yeah.
How smart, right, of Mikel to recognise it. I'm sure he asked for it, but how smart to recognise that he needed a boost. Don't want to give you a new contract, perhaps, but he needed a boost. We talked about this on the post-game show just a little bit. I would love for you to tell us why Trossard, and you talk about now players you do not want to get injured or that you're relying on. And I think the fans are starting to respect and appreciate him a little bit more too, Lee.
Do you know what? I think we've always liked him because he does those clutch moments, but we've always sort of turned around and said he's a fantastic squad player. He's a fantastic player to have in your ranks. And he is. He's a wonderful player from that point of view. Not quite good enough to be a starter. You know what I mean? Like, and I get that. But I think this season, you can't say that. You know me, I'm a massive Martinelli fan. I love him. But at the moment, if you're saying to me who you're playing, Martinelli or Trossard, I'm going Trossard at this moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back to, was it the game in Bilbao? That was the first sort of time he come on and scored a goal and created a goal. But his performances of the last few games, I thought he was fantastic at Sunderland when we needed it. We was 1-0 down. This is one of the players who's a squad player, unsung hero, but he was one of the better. He was the player out of the front three that day that was better than Saka. He was better than Merino in that game. And if he, wonderful goal. I thought he was awful, if I'll be really honest, against Fulham. Didn't do a lot. But what we needed a goal, and bang, he gets the goal. And then the performances against Spurs, it's not the first time we 1-0 down against Spurs last season. You remember the goal we got last season, over the shoulder, bang, great finish. He comes up with moments. And listen, I, again, like Merino, you're not going to put him down as one of your favourite players, and I get that. But you need these players, Soph. You need these players in your squad that you're going to have to step up and perform when your players are not there. Like, and I've heard everybody listen, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Trossard's been outstanding. What if you're going to buy anybody in January? Who are you going to go for? Semenyo at Bournemouth. and this guy's doing what he's doing. But so he's hearing all of that. Everybody's turning around and saying, "Oh, we still need a left winger. Get this in, get this in." But he still puts himself up there every week. And I tell you what, I think he has improved on more than anything over the last few games. And I've watched him, particularly at Sunderland, and it was at Fulham as well. Well, I didn't think he had one of his better games. His work rate has gone up.
It's tracking back.
Tracking back. He's on point now. And then he's doing what he's doing up top, like, So very much at this moment, an unsung hero, like, But if we can get Semenyo in January, I'll do it. But, because that he can play different positions. But at this moment in time, it's been, I think, and again, you might think I'm being a little bit controversial here or whatever, like, but I think out of all of our front players this season, he's been the best.
Him the most consistent.
Most consistent.
He's consistently, and I think that's where Arsenal's Achilles heel has been. There's been a lot of the times where maybe some of our players decide to have their worst game on the same day, or you've got a little bit of that inconsistency. You play a couple games really well, then you have a stinker. There's this balance right now where, there's this consistency. You can't really kind of say that he's had, because he wasn't as consistent, but he'd come up in these big moments. Now he's coupling it all together, tracking back, because he knows that this fella Martinelli, he's tracking back is one of the reasons why Mikel loves starting him, Lee. But now he's married, the tracking back. I think his distribution has been even better this season, releasing the ball, not being as into himself. And of course, his finishing, his clinical, his technical ability is unreal. And they know there's competition, Lee. All of them. Whether Semenyo, he's not coming to Arsenal, by the way. We had Ben Jacobs and Sammy Mockbell on. Liverpool might be favourites. Who knows what will happen? But he is a hybrid player that could come in and do really well. He seems to be the type of player that would fit us. But I also don't think Mikel's going to want a lot of disruption. And these guys know Martinelli, Trossard, even Eza, who kind of started on the left. You got Madueke, if Saka's playing on the right. They know there's competition, and there's fierce competition in this team, and it's going to keep them all hungry.
Exactly that. And what's the great thing about it? I think that the competition over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, where has been those two. There's been a rotation of them two more than anybody else, because there's not been that. They must look at it and go, there ain't a lot of competition. Nowhere else there was. Where else was there competition? But now you look at it, you got both fullbacks. You know what I mean? Like, people are sort of writing off Ben White because of Timber's outstanding performance. But you know what I mean? If Ben White gets up and running, he's a fantastic player to rotate in and out with Timber. We know what we're talking about with Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think there's only one position in the whole team that can't be rotated out. There's only one player in this team, and that, even Saka can be rotated out, and given a colour.
David Raya, are you going to say?
Could you go on? Who do you think?
Is it the goalkeeper?
No, I think Kepa could come in and do a good job. I do.
Declan Rice for me is the player that
Declan Rice for me is the only one that you. If Declan Rice don't play, there's a drop off. But in saying that, we've been able to rest him in games like Nottingham Forest, a couple of other games, and that. But I don't think that you could be able to rest Declan Rice in one of the big games. You know what I mean? If Declan Rice wasn't playing against Chelsea, that would be a big blow. If you know what I mean, he's not playing against Spurs, a big blow. I think this guy is. We have got something special with this guy.
Lee, you can go a game without him, a game or two, but you can't be going.
You can't go many games. I think he is our Brian Robson, what he was for Man United.
Right? That's a good comparison. Yeah,
the Steven Gerrard of Liverpool. What he is to Arsenal. I think you can go back to this guy. In my opinion, isn't as good as him, but nearly as Patrick Vieira. And Patrick Vieira was absolute world class. Let's not forget that. But I see things in this guy that I absolutely adore him. I cannot speak highly enough of it. And do you know what? For all of his great play on Sunday, when he give it to them Spurs, I love it. Just, do you know what? I think he sits there with, he's got a book or something. How can I get these Arsenal fans more on side than what I can do? I'll tell you what, I'll rattle a couple of Spurs fans to have a fight and everything like that, and just.
You know what it is about him? I forget that he played for West Ham. I think that's the biggest compliment that you can maybe give to Declan Rice. For me, he seems like he's come through Hale End. I forget that he played for West Ham. I don't think there's ever been a signing, and they all brew over a period of time, but I don't know if there's been a signing like that in a while where you literally forget his entire career before he even came to us.
I can't argue that, like, you know what I mean? Do you know the one thing I look at Declan Rice and say to him, I don't even know what the fee was. I don't care what the fee was. I don't even think there was. You know, I've never looked at it and go, "Oh, he's a bit overpriced, or he's this, or he's that." I don't know how he's done it, Soph. I do not know how he's done it. He's had, I think, 2 bad games for Arsenal in the whole time he's been here now, and that was the 2 against West Ham at home. Other than that, he's been unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it's the big game. Do you know what I admire about him more than anything? And if you played the game, or you ain't, even if you watched the game, you probably understand this. He plays the game exactly the same way if he was playing Real Madrid, Tottenham, Manchester City, Liverpool, if he was playing Brentford, Wimbledon, Port Vale, or whatever. He has the same attitude, whatever the team is. He doesn't worry about who he's playing. It's all about what he does. And it's like, as a fan, you know, you're more up for the game against Real Madrid. You're more up for the game against Spurs. So as a fan, but this guy, don't matter who you're playing. I watched him at I was was it Bournemouth? Not Bournemouth. Burnley. Quite close to the. He's on it, making sure the players are on it from the word go. And I'm looking at that and going, yeah. He's a proper.
He's a leader. He's vocal. He's a smart footballer. He's like a coach. Like Odegaard's not there right now, and Mikel likes to have. Odegaard was his assistant coach out there on the pitch, and Big Gabby is not there, and he's been that, you know. But Declan is one of those guys, you know. And I know Saka's got the armband, and rightly so, I think, for everything he's represented for that club. But Rice is currently the voice of Mikel on that pitch in the absence of Big Gabby and Martin Odegaard. And he's special.
So if you've hit a nail on the head there, you go back 5 years ago, or maybe 6 years ago, before even beginning of Arteta's reign, and in that name, it was hard to name who was a captain. It was a captain by, you know, Aubameyang, because he's the best player.
Yeah.
Or this and that. Now, I look at that team now, and there's 5, 6 that you could be captain without any shadow of a doubt, like, you know. And you might think I'm silly on this, like that.
No, I agree.
Saliba would make a very, very good captain, right? Showed his leader qualities yesterday, like, you know, by Gabby not being there, how he steps up. Gabriel definitely is captain material, like, you know. You go into midfield, Zubimendi, I think, can make a good captain. I think that Declan Rice is definitely captain material, you know.
I think Zubimendi's been brilliantly. I know he had a horrible moment in the game yesterday, but that is literally one of the only things he's done wrong all season, and he is one of my unsung heroes. People have been complimentary, and people have said, you know, we play differently. He's offered something totally different. But I don't know if he's getting the love that he truly deserves.
Do you know what? I wouldn't put him down as that, because I think that he's just blown everybody away. I really do. So I think, you know, Thomas Partey's not been missed. That's an unbelievable thing to say, really. Like, you know what I mean? When he was injured for so many years, we was missing him. But this guy's come in. He plays it completely different, by the way he plays. But you know what? One of the things that I like about him more than anything is that, you know, going on tour and seeing him always smiling, always happy. Do you notice that? He's always very, very happy. I think, a good attitude to him. Wonderfully gifted footballer. Takes the ball in areas which, you know, when you say, like, as a brave player can be like someone that wins tackles and things like that. I tell you what else is a brave player, that picks the ball up in dangerous areas and wants it all the time and still does it. All right, he's made a mistake on Sunday. He'll still want the ball. He won't shy away from it. He'll still take the ball in dangerous areas and play. He's a ball nicker, which is, I like the way he nicks the ball off teams. He's not, doesn't beat players by his physicality. He nicks the ball. And do you know what? The biggest compliment that I can give him is that I think he's made Declan Rice a better player.
I am so happy you said this out loud, because it riffed off what you were talking about with Declan. And I was hoping you were going to mention Zubimendi, because for me, he's been one of my favorite players this season, and to watch the consistency, but also he's elevated Declan's game. And I think Declan would admit that too. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, again, we've wanted to get to a point where you outgrow players. Yeah, sure. You know, Jesus and Zinchenko were great when they first came in. Some people think maybe we've outgrown Benjamin White right now. I still think he has a role to play. But the whole point is to bring players in who I think Timber has helped make, and he's another one on the list, by the way. And I want to hear what you have to say about him. I think Timber, since he's been here, I think Big Gabby's better. I think Saliba's better. I think, you know, I think Saka has helped make Timber better, but I think Mikel's improved him going forward this season. It's a totally different Timber. There's so many things happening in this team, Lee, to dissect, that now there's talent, and that talent is improving. Already great talent. It's unreal.
It is unreal. And do you know what? Timber's an example of a player that probably, I don't know if he was a nailed-on player starter when he first come to the club. Obviously got the injury, but then because of Ben White's long-term injury, he'd been playing on the right side, and because of his performances has really meant that Ben White can't get back in his side. Now, I think at the end of the day, so for him, we've forgot how good Ben White is or was because of this guy. His performances have been sensational. You know, people are going, "Oh, I wouldn't play Ben." Well, I think Ben White's still a sensational player, but the performances of this guy, I don't see no one beating him. I think that he's getting stronger and stronger as the games go on and everything like that. I do think that once Ben White's up and running, I do think you'll see him being rotated a little bit more like that they're doing on the other side, but they've not been able to do that because Ben White's not been up and running. But don't forget, when we beginning of the season, Ben White was playing, you know what I mean, and got injured. So listen, this guy, I don't know how good this player would be. Imagine if he didn't have that injury. Yeah, I've never seen a player come back from an injury like this.
It's unreal.
It's unreal. I do believe he's a machine. I think he gets oiled.
He's like the Terminator, T2.
He's like the Terminator. He gets oiled every game. It's incredible what I'm seeing from him.
Maybe the injury was, you know, I hate to say things like a blessing, but you know, I don't.
Tough one.
I mean, he was already a humble guy, but to be out that long and to have that serious injury, for someone who's so in tune with gratefulness and the way they live their life anyway, I don't know, just elevated him to totally different levels.
It's incredible. I'll tell you, look, and I'm being really honest when I say this, like, one of the best players would have been to ever play for Arsenal, and would have been an unbelievable player, and he still had an unbelievable career for Arsenal, was Aaron Ramsey. right? Before, if he'd never got injured,
Mm.
he lost a yard of pace to what he was when he was 18. And unfortunately, injuries hampered him for the rest of his career. But what he would have been sensational, like, you know what I mean? I think he would have been like the Declan Rice of that Arsene Wenger era, up and down, could score goals. Wonderful,
Mr. Wembley.
Yeah, and listen, had a fantastic career for Arsenal, but unfortunately, he had an unbelievable injury, and to come back and play the way he did is a big thing for him. But Timber seems to have had that big injury and not been hampered by the injuries. He's, you know what I mean, like, just keeps going.
He's fearless.
And going.
He's totally fearless.
Incredible. I had the, good fortune to be up close to him in Singapore on a training session, and he's all muscle, you know.
So strong. He's got that low center of
he's got big, powerful, strong legs. You know, I shouldn't be looking at a man like that, but I do. But he's absolutely like everywhere. Like, just like, if he was put him in a boxing ring, he wouldn't been out of place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Very, very good. Like, you know.
Lee, let me ask you about this. So, this brilliant stuff with Lee Judges. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Make sure, if you're living under a rock, that you're following Lee. You know where to find him as well, on his own channel and on AFTV as well. He's been talking, and he's been watching the Arsenal for a very long time, guys. And you've seen a lot of players come and go, Lee. And so, you know, we waxed lyrical about Ezra yesterday in the North London derby, talked about like the strong, obvious heroes like Bukayo, like Big Gabby, Saliba, Declan Rice, the unsung heroes like Timber, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Martinelli still to come back. You know, we've got Noni to come back as well, which is going to be insane. You know, a little bit forgotten came on yesterday, but I wanted to ask you this, because there was a time last season where you talk about unsung heroes. Miles Lewis-Skelly was an accidental hero last season because of injuries. And it shows you, like, with Calafiori being injury prone, all this talk, it's just nonsense about Miles leaving or looking for, a loan or to play for England in the World Cup, Waneri, rumblings, whatever. There was a time, though, last season where we were like, this is going to be the heroic, like the next three, right? I think Lewis-Skelly's got a massive part to play in this season, Lee. I really, really do. Ethan, I don't know if it's because he's been overshadowed a little bit by Max, because when Max comes on, he's got this bedazzle, Lamine Yamal style type, you know, once in a generation vibe about him. When we talk about places in the squad, the characters, the personalities, what do you make of Ethan and Miles's path so far this season, Lee? Because I know it means a lot to you, like the Haylen means a lot to you. And
just before we go into that, Marky, yes, I have seen Liam Brady and I have seen Alan Sunderland. Right?
Is there someone asking? I was focused on.
So at the end of the day,
he has. Yes.
And I feel that being a privilege, like
badge of honour.
A badge of honour, like, yeah, I do. There you go. Listen, we all want to see the youngsters play. We all do. And listen, people go on about Ethan at this moment in time, like, you know, he's already contributed, coming on a few substitute appearances, Nottingham Forest at home and West Ham, and doing the business. So he has contributed for Arsenal. Well, we all want them to contribute a little bit more. But the sad thing for these three guys, or a good thing for these youngsters at this moment in time, is that 2-3 years ago, they would have put lots more games in the Europa League to cement their place and all that. You're playing, you know, on the Saturday you're playing Tottenham, and then on the Wednesday you're playing Real Madrid. To bring these guys in, it's always going to be tough. Now, I think with Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think I look at Declan Rice and I think that, maybe like you can rotate him out and put him in midfield. I think that there's still a position there for him, and with Miles, I'm with you on this. So if there's going to be games when he's going to be playing, and I think now he's going to get more games because Calafiori's not going to play 2 games a week. So there's going to be that opportunity. Because I think Nketiah now will play central defence for the few games there. The last time he started, for me, it was against. It might have started in the League Cup, but for me, like the main game was that Champions League game.
He was brilliant in that.
Against Madrid. He was absolutely outstanding. And there's a lot of people, if you can be really honest about it, he's very, very unlucky to be left out of this side at this moment in time, and England as well. And I worry for his England place because I watched the game on Saturday with Newcastle and City, and I know that O'Reilly's taking his place at the moment, but I think he's going to have more competition with that Lewis, or who is it, come from Chelsea. I think he's a player, so for really light on that left-hand side, if he stays fit, I think he's a very, very good left back. So there could be, heartbreak for Miles going in that, but he's 19 years of age, and I'll tell you that now, 19 years of age, 50 appearances for Arsenal. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of players would take that. A lot of players would take that, and I think there's a maybe a chance that he might go with England. I think, as we said, I think the 2 players now, O'Reilly and Hall, may overtake him in there. But I still think he's got a role to play for Arsenal, whether it be midfield eventually. Ethan's a little bit tougher, because I think he's gone 3rd in the pecking order now.
It's tough, isn't it? Because
how can you knock on the door? How can you knock on Mikel's door today and say I should be playing in place of Eze after what he's just done? He's just got to be patient and maybe a little loan move or something like if he wants to get. This is the one thing about I'd love to be able to talk to these guys about it, because you look at Ethan, you look at Miles, and all these youngsters that are coming through. Max Downman's another one, and probably Max to a certain degree is getting it as well now. You're playing when you're going there as a kid. Well, Max starting straight away, Ethan starting straight away. Oh, put them up 2 leagues, put them up more. Then all of a sudden they get into the first team and they're not that regular player. So one thing they've got to have is a mental attitude of not being where you've been playing in the youth team all the time. You've been playing week in, week out. Now all of a sudden you're not. And so it's difficult for these youngsters. You know what I mean? I'm
not
watching.
everyone's a Saka, and
no,
the other thing,
Saka
Lee, too.
Through. So people forget this. So Saka come through when there was Europa League, so he was playing Europa League games. So he was getting games. Come to the cup final, he didn't play in the cup final. He wasn't, where it's been a gradual thing for him. But where he started, he had the fortune for him, not for us, was that we was in the Europa League and you could be resting and rotating and whatever. You actually could play, and we did sometimes play second string teams and still win games in the Europa League. So it's a little bit easier for Saka, and that's I think if Saka was playing as a youngster, he would still made it. He was a sensational talent. But where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
They've just got that thing where, Saliba.
I think Waneri could end up being an Emile Smith-Rowe.
No, I don't.
No?
I don't. I think you have to look at it and go, where was Saliba when he was his age? He was out on loan.
That's a great point. And we all wanted Saliba to not be on loan and starting every week. And so that's a very good point, Lee. Very good.
It was, and when he was back, so it may be that Ethan will go out on loan for a year and all that, and then come back and all that, So for me, I think he's a talent. I think that Miles Lewis-Skelly is a talent. We all know what Max is a talent like, you know. But if you was to be really honest to that, right, and Max is now, say, 18, 19, where are you playing him? Who are you leaving out for him at this moment in time in this Arsenal team? As good as he is, who are you leaving him out for? I don't think it's going to be where he's going to be a squad player and coming in, like, you know.
Depends how he develops, Lee. Like, is he going to make it impossible for Mikel?
Yeah, I think he will. He will.
Mm.
But I think Ethan as well. You know what I mean? Like, you don't give a kid at 15 a debut unless he's not very good. Let's get that right.
Yeah, but as Jason Cundy likes to remind us when he comes on this show, as he did last week, the difference between Ethan's debut and Max Dowman. Max has kind of stayed in and around the squad and had some subs. He kind of made that appearance and then, you know, disappeared for a little while. But
Jason's got his agenda on that, whatever he wants to say like that. That's fair enough. I think there's part of the reason that they done that was to show him that there was a path, and, like, you know,
I had no problem with it.
I got no problem with that. Like, he had the opportunity to do it, and he done it. Like, you know, and I think that Ethan was one of the reasons that maybe he stayed with the club, because he got that gig of that day. Like, you know, but there's always, you know, there's been a plan, and I still think the plan is still there for Ethan. Listen, he's a humble lad.
Yeah, they all come from great families. They
great
got great
family, great
parents.
Great
and
when I, you know, as you know, I was fortunate enough to meet him. Like, I was blown away by how big he was and everything like that.
Do you remember in the States, Lee, when we were sitting there and it was that tour where Heaven was still there, and when Neri played a little bit, and the two of us were sitting there like, aye. Like, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. He's only 19 now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and let's be really honest about it. So if you was on that tour as well, and you was watching that, we looked at those three players that played. Now, that was Josh Nichols, Heaven as well. So that was four of them, like, you know. And obviously, like, Miles Lewis-Skelly and
Nwaneri.
And Nwaneri, right? We was all saying that they're only on the tour because the boys from the World Cup ain't there. They're only making up the numbers. How wrong was we there?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we just think, oh, like, well, they're just, you know, but they just come on and just done the unbelievable stuff. So, you know, Josh is a little bit older now. Josh Nichols is a little bit older, hasn't broke through into this team, like, you know what I mean? Nor, you know, and we all know what happened with the other guys, you know. But I think with Ethan, I think patience is the key. I don't think, you know, you'll want it at that age, but, you know, the unfortunate thing for him, and you know, is that the Arsenal are so bloody good now that it's going to be hard to get in that team.
Which is good. Which is good for them.
Good for them.
Mentally.
Mentally and everything, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, we're seeing Trossard play better, and we're seeing Martinelli's game going up. Why? Because there's competition in the team. We're seeing Merino now stepping up to the plate. We're seeing all these players stepping up. It's the same for them when Ethan comes in. I'll say this now: if you come in and have an okay game, that ain't good enough. It's good enough for he's played okay, but to continue and be playing for Arsenal, you've got to be better than okay. And what does that mean? That you've got to be at your very, very... What does that mean? That you're going to get better results and things like that? Okay is not good enough no more, Soph.
No, it's not. You can't survive there anymore.
You can't survive at Arsenal now by being okay. And that is the great thing. I look at the goalkeepers now. You know what I mean? There's a healthy competition in there. It wasn't healthy a couple of seasons ago when Aaron was there, because it was two number ones. But Kappa knows where he's doing, where he is. But I'll tell you what, if anything did happen to Raya, I've got no doubt that this guy can come in and step in and do the business. You know what I mean? So, but and if he doesn't, it's not okay. You've got to be better than that. I'll tell you what, Ben White has been okay when he's played. Ain't good enough no more, so he's got to get back to his best again. And he will.
No, it's true. It's 100%. for sure. Jerome, when Ezra's 30, Ethan will be 20, Miles will be 21, and Max will be 18. Then when you put it like that, that's like, wow.
What a great point.
Yeah.
What a great point that is.
Yeah. Right. Are you, I think we're good with our unsung heroes, right? We got Trossard and Mikel Merino. For me, Zubimendi, and I know that Timber is raved about, but I still think he's a little bit unsung. And Calafiori as well has come a long way, guys, after getting bashed quite a bit from quite a few of us. And I do think there's, like a lot of you have said in the chat for sure, that the Trossard-Calafiori partnership is one that's really blossomed as well this year. Lee, we can't let you go without quickly getting your starting 11 for Bayern Munich. Like, what would you do knowing Chelsea's coming up at the weekend as well? Another London derby. And then we got Brentford. And by the way, you guys, you asked and I delivered. Next Tuesday, Natalie Sawyer will be with us to talk about the Brentford game. And tomorrow night is Ian Stone from Handbrake Off. But for right now, we've got our Gianni judges. So let's soak him up while we can.
Got some good guests coming on there, like, you know what I mean, eh?
Well, you kicked off a good week.
Very good guy. Very good guy.
Lee, what are you doing with... it's a big juggle here for Mikel. What are you going to do?
Do you know what? I would make a few more. I don't think he's going to make that many changes. I'll tell you why, because I felt that he could have made a few changes when we played in Prague. I was very, very surprised how strong he is. So I'm actually thinking that he'll go there. If it's me, I'm rotating the fullbacks. I'm bringing in Ben White and I'm bringing in Miles Lewis-Skelly. One of the reasons I'm bringing in Ben White is because I want Timber 100% for Chelsea, 100% fit for Chelsea, and the same with Calafiori, like he's carrying and this and that. Like, you know, I'd keep the two set. I know that he got a bit of cramp in Kepier, but I'd keep them two together because we need to build that as a partnership. So the more and more we do that, the better. I would love to leave Rice out of this game, but we can't afford to. And I'd keep the front three at the same, even if Gyökeres is fit. I would go with Merino up top again. Saka and Trossard. 20 minutes from the end, I'd like to see Odegaard getting some minutes. I think Odegaard will be on the bench for this one. And Martinelli getting a bit of a run out, but Martinelli didn't get anything on Saturday, on Sunday. But yeah, just a couple of changes. I think also, like, the game being on a Sunday benefits as well. Like, gives us the extra day's rest. We're at home, so we can have Thursday off.
And this is a good point from Andy as well. Chelsea have to play a strong side against Barcelona tomorrow because they only have 7 points. We don't need to do that against Bayern Munich. Are you? If we walk away from this game having lost to Bayern Munich, there's no meltdown from you, is there, Lee? Is there a...
No, not at all. Because you know, I think there's a safety net when you're playing in the Champions League at this moment in time. Not so much later on, obviously, because it's a knockout. But at the moment in time, you know, I think it's about getting into the next round, whether it's 8 or 16. I think, you know, it's better that you get into the top 8 and you ain't got to go through the qualifying rounds and whatever. At the moment, we're second. So, you know, at the end of it, like, as I said earlier on a show earlier on, so if we've got like first and second in the Champions League, first and second in the Premier League in 4 or 5 days, which is tough. It's tough. You know what I mean? Like, but if any team can do it, Arsenal can. Like, you know, I don't know how people feel about this. You know what I mean? Yes, Chelsea. If you want to put me hand up and say what's the most important game, yes, Chelsea. And what ones you want to win, Chelsea. Yes, for obvious reasons. But I want these. If they've, you know what I mean? I remember sitting in Munich in a hotel in Munich after being stuffed 5-1.
Yes.
After, you know, getting through to the last 16. And that was a very, very depressing night. I remember, like, you know what I mean? The beers didn't go down too well, like, you know. It was a depressing night. And then we come back the following week to the Emirates just to try and get a bit of credibility and end up getting beat 5-1 again. And
it was humiliating.
It was humiliating. Totally humiliating. It wasn't the last couple of years ago. I think that there wasn't a lot between it. I think that a little bit of experience didn't help there, and we should have had a Stonewall penalty at the end, and who knows, it might have been different at the end of that game, like, you know. So I don't forget things like that, you know. So I'd love to beat Bayern Munich. I would love
to beat them. They look like probably the strongest team in the Champions League so far this season. I think, you know, we've looked good as well. Harry Kane's on fire, always guaranteed a goal against Arsenal. You know, we've met them, and that quarterfinal still sticks in my gut, you know, at the Emirates, the mistake, and then losing Kimmich, you know, the marker there on the return leg in Munich. I felt like we should have won that tie.
Well, with you. I think Martin had a good chance that day.
He did. And, you know, for me, Mikel's going to want to win this. Of course, he wants to win every single game. If you're going to play Rice, like at the weekend, just sub him off with 80 minutes to go. We're beating Tottenham like 4-1. Just sub him off. So I think he's been brilliant at his in-game management this season. Sunderland and Tottenham, like, why is Saka still on the pitch? Why is Rice still on the pitch? Get Timber off sooner. It's those things. I think he trusts much more than he has done. But, you know, there's a method to his madness. But I think we just need to be really careful with overloading them too much. So, all right, Lee Judges, what is your prediction for Bayern Munich? We're going to let you go to bed.
I think it'd be a tough one, 1-0, 2-0 Arsenal. I'm backing us. I'm backing us
too.
And I'm backing us against Chelsea as well. I think we're turning up against them as well.
I think we're going to humble them.
Well, it'd be lovely.
Everyone's started now. They've moved on, right, from the Liverpool narrative and the Manchester City narrative. And this week it's, can Chelsea stop Arsenal's title challenge? You know, one day it's Arsenal's title to lose. They don't. There's nothing more they'd love than for this young Chelsea team to humble us, right?
And I think that's the. Listen, a couple of weeks ago, I looked at it. Chelsea were going to Tottenham, and if they lost that, they'd have been down in 6th place, and I think they'd have been under pressure. But they managed to win that game, and they've gone on a little bit of a run since. But I do see vulnerabilities in Chelsea, and I don't think they're as good as where their league position is at this moment in time. That's my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's what I think.
And then the whole Caicedo Rice thing is going to ensue this week as well. So prepare yourselves for that. What do you have? By the way, you know that we're still deciding whether or not Newman should have a coin.
Oh,
yeah, because
he always lets himself down a little bit, doesn't he?
Does. Like, he did it again. He did it again, Lee.
He did it again, did he?
Yeah, he did it again. So I was going to make the decision tonight as well because you're here, but maybe you need a little bit more time to think about it.
Do you know what? I love the guy, so I would be up for it to give him this coin. But if
we can just stop talking about it.
Yeah, but if he continues to let himself down, he does, like, you know what I mean? Like, he does let himself down every now and then, like, you know. I think you've got to grow up a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, but for me, there he is. I actually love the guy, and I think that he does deserve it, like, you know what I mean? But
oh, God.
Letting yourself down, man, like, you know what I mean? That's all I can say.
Do you know what stops me? I feel like Kevin will be so mad at me if I cave, because you know what a ham he was about prolonging jokes and winding people up. And I feel like if I caved, okay, so here's the confession from me. I feel like if I cave, Kev will be mad at me, honestly.
Do you know what? I don't think Kevin would be mad at anybody. You know what I mean?
No, I'm half joking about it, but he would want to see why he'd want to wind him up, keep winding him up. He had a little
thing where I think he liked to keep old Newman hanging on. I think, like, you know what I mean?
He really did.
That thing. But I will say this in Newman's defence here: like, if Kevin always bantered you, he liked you. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I do think that there was a bit of likeness. He did like him. That's why he bantered him, like, you know. But if you're letting yourself down, man, don't, you know. Sophie, I know Sophie's a good girl, and she would she'd be giving you this coin unless you don't mess it up. That's all I'm saying. Don't mess it up, because the last time I felt you was on for it, and like, you had my vote. He had my vote.
Okay, well, it's official. He will receive his email and he will find out via letter, and then we will break it to the squaddies. The decision in my mind right now has been made, and I will alert you via official, like it's, you know, the royal family here delivering news and stuff like that. And then we'll break it to the squaddies. Breaking news on Wednesday after the Bayern Munich game, where hopefully we would have beaten them. And yeah, you're very nice, very nice. Lee, thank you so much for joining. And once again, thank you.
My pleasure, as always. Like,
we
and a big up to the
appreciate you.
as well.
We appreciate you.
I love the vibe you have with the comments and everything like that, and it's fantastic. So big up to the squaddies. Love you all.
We love you too. Make sure you catch Lee on his own channel, and also you catch him over at AFTV. Everyone, take care. See you tomorrow live at 6. Is it 6 or 7? I think it's 6 with Ian Stone from Handbrake Off. We will be talking all things Arsenal once again. How about that? At eSquaddies, don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. Newman, look out for your email.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
He's got every